The Galactic Council sat in their great chamber, a circle of light and shadow, voices rising and falling like waves. For many cycles they had argued about borders, trade, and peace. But this night was different. Something had come from the dark reaches of space, something none of them understood. The sensors had first picked it up near the Forbidden Zone, a place where no ships dared to travel, a place of dead stars and lost fleets. At first it was only a shadow on their screens, too large to be natural, too fast to be ordinary. The readings made no sense. One moment it seemed a small craft. The next it appeared the size of a moon. Panic spread among the delegates. They shouted over one another, their tentacles, claws, and wings moving with fear. The technicians tried to steady the signals, but every scan returned blurred, as if the shadow itself refused to be measured. Ships were sent closer, but even their advanced systems failed. Their beams of energy simply scattered like mist against an invisible wall. The leader of the council, High Speaker Vera, stood in the center and demanded order. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed worry. "This is no natural object," she said. "We must prepare." One alien general slammed his armored fist against the table and roared. "It could be them, the ancient ones, the ones we swore were gone." Whispers rushed through the chamber, old stories of a species thought lost. For hours they watched as the shadow moved, slow yet unstoppable, straight toward the Council's core worlds. Fleets scrambled in formation. Battle stations armed their weapons, but none dared fire first. The unknown was too heavy, too dangerous. In the dark corners of the chamber, some aliens prayed, others sharpened their claws. Then, the shadow cleared the last veil of dust and starlight, and every being in the chamber froze. Before them hung a ship, a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever built. Its hull stretched for kilometers, black metal gleaming with faint blue light. Its shape was angular, brutal, yet elegant. It looked alive, as if the stars themselves bent to its will. Silence held the chamber. Then a voice broke it, thin and shaking. What species builds such a beast?" The warship drifted closer, silent, no communication, no signal of peace, only the quiet weight of its presence. Fleets surrounded it, their weapons armed, but targeting systems failed again and again. The warship was there, yet not there. A ghost that no machine could lock onto. Legends were whispered again, tales of a forgotten race, a people called humans. Some believed they had perished long ago. Others said they had hidden, waiting, and now the proof was before them. The council tried every language, every signal, but the warship did not respond. Days passed in fear. Alien admirals argued to attack. Others begged to wait. One fleet dared to fire a warning shot, a beam of energy brighter than a star. But the beam vanished as it struck the ship, like a candle thrown into the sea. Inside the chamber, fear turned to dread. The unknown ship was stronger than anything they had, stronger than the combined fleets of 3 empires. Still it did not strike back. Still it remained in silence. The waiting was worse than war. High Speaker Vera stared at the ship's image, her voice heavy. "This is no accident. This is a message." Her counselors leaned forward, desperate to hear. "Someone has returned to remind us of fear." The ship's engines glowed faintly, and for a moment it seemed as if the stars themselves dimmed around it. The chamber shook with silent terror. One alien whispered, "If this is one, how many more do they have?" No one answered, for the thought alone was unbearable. And then at last, the warship moved, a slow turn, deliberate, like a predator looking upon prey. Every fleet captain held their breath. Every admiral's claw hovered over the command to fire, but no fire came from the great ship. It only turned and drifted deeper into council space, unstoppable. The silence broke into chaos. Some shouted for retreat, others screamed for attack, but none dared make the first move. The image of the warship filled the great chamber, black and endless, its hull marked with strange letters, old and unfamiliar, until one translator gasped, "These are human symbols." The chamber froze, eyes wide, voices gone. For the first time in centuries, the council trembled, for they now understood the shadow was not just a ship, it was a warning. And somewhere inside that warship, unseen and unknown, humanity had spoken without words. The chamber lights flickered, systems strained under the strange signal echoing from the warship, a heartbeat sound, deep and steady, 1-2, 1-2, endless and calm. It was not a weapon, it was not a threat, but it chilled the blood of every leader present, because it meant only one thing. Humanity was alive and they were not hiding anymore. The chamber of the Galactic Council had not known such fear in centuries. Leaders of countless species sat in silence, staring at the great display where the human warship floated. It did not move fast, it did not fire, but its presence was enough to shatter the pride of empires. Messages were sent again and again, but there was no reply. Translators tested every known language, even the lost codes of extinct races. Still the ship answered with silence, and silence was more terrifying than words. High Speaker Vera demanded calm, but her claws tapped against the table, betraying her own fear. "We must not act blindly," she said. "Our fleets cannot even touch this vessel." Yet generals of many worlds shouted back, their voices hot with rage. "If we let this intruder roam free, the people will rise against us. They will say the council is weak." In hidden corners of the chamber, rumors spread. The old name was whispered again. Human, once dismissed as myth. The old archive spoke of them, a young, reckless species, violent and clever. Their wars had burned entire sectors. Then they had vanished, as if swallowed by the stars. Many believed they were gone forever. But the Titan warship told another story. Humanity had not died. Humanity had grown. Outside, fleets hovered surrounding the massive ship like insects around a sleeping beast. Their weapons powered, but their targeting failed. Every lock slipped away. Every scanner glitched. It was as if the warship existed half in another reality. Untouchable. Unstoppable. In the chamber, debate turned to desperation. Some demanded diplomacy, others demanded annihilation. One bold delegate, scaled and tall, slammed his tail against the ground. "If this human ship is here, then more may come. We must destroy it now before it spreads fear further." But another counselor hissed back, "Destroy it? With what? Our fleets cannot even see it properly." The chamber roared with chaos. But all voices died at once when the ship stirred. The great engines glowed brighter. A low hum filled the void. Every fleet captain shouted for reports. Screens flickered, comms filled with static, then cleared, and a single sound came through. It was not words. It was not a threat. It was a voice speaking in calm, steady rhythm, 4 words, clear, cold, unstoppable. "We are still here." The chamber froze. Every alien breath caught. Translators confirmed the meaning. The language was simple, ancient, yet powerful. The voice was human. For the first time, the council understood this ship was not a lost relic, not a ghost, it was a declaration. Humanity had returned. Fear spread like fire, but some saw opportunity. One cunning counselor leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "If they have ships like this, perhaps we should not fear them. Perhaps we should join them." Others spat in disgust. "Join them? Submit to barbarians who nearly destroyed the galaxy long ago?" But the idea planted itself in the chamber. The warship remained still, silent after its message. Fleets waited, weapons armed, but none dared fire again. The first attempt had proven useless. Any further attack could invite destruction. In the darkness of the chamber, High Speaker Vera whispered, "This is no single ship. This is a messenger, a warning." Her words carried weight. Every leader knew she was right. No species would reveal its strength with only one weapon. There had to be more. Panic began to spread across the council worlds. News of the Titan leaked. Markets crashed. Soldiers deserted. People demanded answers, and always the same question. Why are the humans back? The council convened again in secret, the debate sharper now. One general argued for building weapons beyond imagination. Another argued for seeking peace, but no one agreed. Unity crumbled, fear grew, and then The warship moved again, not to fire, not to flee, but to broadcast. A wave of signals swept across the stars, filling every channel, every device. The message was not long, not complex, only a set of coordinates. The council chamber erupted in questions. What do they want? What is there? Analysts searched the maps. The coordinates pointed to a dead system, a system burned in the wars of old. It was there humanity called them. The generals demanded to send fleets. The politicians demanded to delay. But in the end, curiosity outweighed fear. The council agreed to send a delegation. The fleets gathered, smaller this time, not to fight, but to follow. Yet all eyes remained fixed on the Titan warship. It turned slowly, engines glowing, moving toward the dead system, and like frightened shadows, the council ships followed. In the chamber, whispers returned, old stories of human wars, old fears of human rage, but one truth weighed heavier than all others. The humans had spoken only once, yet their words echoed in every mind, simple, unshakable. We are still here. And for the first time, the Galactic Council realized it was not the return of an old enemy they feared. It was the rise of something far greater, a species that had vanished into silence only to return stronger than all before. The Titan ship drifted toward the dead system, slow, certain, unafraid, and behind it the fleets followed, unwilling, yet unable to turn away. In the chamber of the council, no one spoke. No one dared, for deep inside they all knew. This was not the end of fear. It was only the beginning. The dead system lay in silence. Broken worlds drifted like bones. Stars burned faint and weak. Long ago, a great war had turned this place into ruin. No one lived there. No one dared return. Yet now the Titan-Class Warship led the fleets into its dark heart. The Galactic Council delegation watched with dread. Their ships followed at a safe distance, weapons armed but useless, scanners strained but gave only fragments. The human ship remained calm, its engines glowing with steady light. It showed no fear of ambush, no fear of numbers. Inside the council chamber, fear had turned into anger. Leaders argued endlessly. Some demanded retreat, others demanded attack, yet none dared move without knowing more. High Speaker Vera sat in silence, her eyes fixed on the great display, waiting. At last the Titan warship stopped, floating near the shattered remains of a planet. Silence filled the comms. The fleets waited, the council waited, and then the voice came, calm, steady, heavy, like the weight of time itself. This is Titan, the voice said, not loud, not aggressive, but so clear that every ship in the system heard it. We are not here to conquer, but we will not kneel. The words echoed in every mind. The translators worked instantly. There was no mistake. It was human speech, simple, direct. Shock ran through the fleets, through the council chamber, through the galaxy itself as the message spread. The humans had spoken after centuries of silence. They had returned not as victims, not as wanderers, but as equals, or perhaps something more. One alien general hissed into the comm, "Identify yourselves. Who commands you? How many ships do you bring?" But the Titan gave no answer, only silence. Then the voice spoke again. "You remember the stories of us, the warnings of your ancestors. You believed we were gone. You were wrong." In the chamber, panic erupted. Old legends rose again. In the ancient wars, humans had fought with fury unmatched. Their fleets had been small, but their strength had been great. They had burned enemies far larger than themselves, until they vanished. Some said destroyed, some said hiding. Now the truth stood before them. They had not perished, they had grown stronger. The council leaders argued, "We must make peace," cried one. "Peace? With monsters?" Another spat. "They will destroy us all." The chamber trembled with shouts, with fear, with rage. But the image of the Titan ship silenced them each time their eyes returned to it. The warship remained still, unshaken by fleets, untouched by weapons it had no need to fire. Its very presence was enough. Suddenly the ship's hull glowed. Strange symbols lit across its surface. Old human letters, sharp and strong. One translator gasped. "It is not just a name, it is a vow." The words read, Titan of Earth. Earth, the cradle of humanity. A world forgotten by most, yet feared in old stories. The source of a species that refused to die. The council fleets shifted nervously. Some captains begged to withdraw. Others held position, waiting for orders, but no one dared attack. Not now. Not after the words. The human voice returned, colder now, like steel in the dark. You call yourselves rulers of the stars, but you do not know the meaning of war. We remember, we endured, we prepared. We will not bow to your counsel, but we will not strike first. The message ended. Silence followed. Silence heavier than war. In the chamber, many trembled. This was no threat shouted in arrogance. This was confidence, the kind that came from truth, the kind that meant they could do as they said. One counselor whispered, "If this is only one ship, what of the others?" The thought spread like poison. No one answered, no one dared. Outside, the warship remained, engines burning like faint suns, watching, waiting, daring them to act. High Speaker Vera finally spoke, her voice low but strong. "We must answer. Them," the chamber turned to her. "We must send our own words. Not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as survivors," some protested. "They will see weakness," others warned. But Vera shook her head. "They already see our weakness. What they do not see is our intent." A message was prepared, careful, words chosen, a request for dialogue, an offer of peace. The fleets transmitted it across the void, but the Titan ship did not reply. It simply turned slowly, with great weight, as if time itself bent around it. The council fleets followed nervously, unsure if they were being led into a trap. But the Titan gave no sign of war. It drifted forward, engines glowing steady, as if guiding them deeper. In the council chamber, voices rose again. "We must decide now," one shouted, "strike or bow." But High Speaker Vera said nothing. She only stared at the warship's image, knowing that this was not a decision they controlled anymore. For in that moment, the truth became clear. The galaxy had thought itself safe, thought itself united, thought itself strong. But the return of humanity changed everything. The Titan had spoken, and the galaxy would never be the same. The fleets of the Galactic Council drifted in uneasy silence, their ships spread wide around the Titan-Class Warship. None dared draw closer. None dared retreat. The humans had spoken only a few words, but those words carried weight heavier than weapons. Yet fear does strange things to proud leaders. Fear grows into anger, and anger grows into recklessness. In the council chamber, arguments burned hotter than suns. "We cannot let them stand unchallenged," one general snarled, his armored claws scraping the table. "If we show weakness, the people will rise against us." Another shouted back, "Attack! Do you not see what this ship is? It swallowed our weapons as if they were nothing." But pride is a poison, and one faction of the council could not endure the humiliation. The warrior empire of Drathul demanded action. Their admiral stood tall, scales glittering with rage. "We will test this human beast, and when it bleeds, all will see it is mortal." High Speaker Vera raised her hand, her voice sharp. "Do not be fools, do not invite the storm." But her warning was ignored. The Drathul war fleet moved. Without permission, engines roaring, weapons primed. The Titan ship did not move. Its engines burned steady, its vast shadow unshaken. As the Drathul ships formed into attack lines, 1,000 smaller vessels encircling, energy cannons bright with power, the chamber filled with shouts. Some begged to stop them. Others cheered for their courage. The Drathul admiral broadcast a final message across the system, his voice filled with pride. "We will prove the council still commands the stars." Then the first volley fired. Beams of energy, bright as dawn, cut across the void. Missiles streaked forward. The warship vanished in light. But when the fire cleared, the Titan remained, untouched, its black hull gleaming, its shields rippling like a calm sea disturbed only for a moment. Gasps filled the chamber, but the Drathul pressed harder. Wave after wave of weapons struck, the void blazed with fury, but the Titan did not fall. It did not even fire back, it simply endured, as if the greatest fleet of the council were nothing but rain against iron. Then, for the first time, the Titan moved slowly, deliberately. Its cannons glowed, not with the fury of destruction, but with precise, sharp light. A single beam lashed out, not at the heart of the Drathal fleet, but at their engines in a flash. Half their ships drifted powerless, disabled, their weapons cold, their drives dead, not destroyed, not shattered, simply silenced. Another beam fired, another wave of ships fell dark. The Drathal panicked, their formations broke, their admirals shouted orders, but their fleets collapsed into chaos. The Titan did not kill, it did not slaughter, it simply ended the battle, with surgical strikes, with control beyond understanding. In the council chamber, silence held them. All, no one spoke. No one dared. Their strongest fleet had attacked, and the human ship had defeated it without drawing blood. Finally, the human voice returned, calm as stone. "We are not your enemies, but we will not kneel if you strike. We will answer, if you test us, you will fail. Learn this now before it is too late." The words echoed across the chamber, across the fleets, across the galaxy. The council leaders trembled, for this was worse than destruction. Destruction they could understand. But mercy delivered with such power was unbearable. High Speaker Vera stood, her eyes fixed on the Titans. "Image, they do not want war," she said, "but they want respect, and they will have it." Her words tasted bitter, but they were true. No one dared deny it. The Drathal delegation hung their heads, their pride broken, their fleet ruined. Yet their people cheered them for trying, while others mocked their failure. The galaxy watched, and in every corner the same whisper grew stronger. The humans have returned. On the battlefield, the Titan drifted back into silence, its cannons dim, its engines glowing. It did not chase. It did not demand surrender. It simply existed, untouchable, unshaken, unstoppable. The council fleets pulled back, their ships limping, their courage broken, not by death, but by the knowledge that they had no power here, no choice but to watch and wait. In the chamber, some leaders still shouted for vengeance, others begged for peace, but all of them knew the balance of power had shifted. The galaxy would never be the same. The Titan had shown only a fraction of its strength, yet it was enough to paralyze entire empires, enough to make even the proudest warriors tremble. And as the chamber lights flickered, as the whispers grew louder, one truth settled deep in the hearts of all. The humans had not come to destroy, not yet, but they had come to remind the galaxy of something it had long forgotten: fear. The council chamber was heavy with silence. The defeat of the Drathal fleet still burned in every mind. No ships had been destroyed, no lives had been taken. Yet, the humiliation was far greater than death. The Titan warship had shown mercy, and that mercy was terrifying. In hidden halls and secret vaults, whispers spread, old legends were spoken louder. The word human carried new weight. Every empire sent spies and scholars into their deepest archives, desperate to find the truth of this species that had returned from shadow. High Speaker Vera gathered the council once more, her voice firm, though her hands trembled. "We cannot face them with weapons, so we must face them with knowledge. Search your histories, your myths, your forbidden records. Find what was forgotten." And so they searched. Across the stars, libraries were opened, old tablets decoded, digital tombs unlocked. What they found sent chills through every leader. In the age of old wars, before the council had formed, before the galaxy was united, there had been a rising race, fierce, clever, unyielding. They were called humans. Their fleets had been small, but their fire unmatched. They fought with reckless courage. They built ships faster than others could destroy them, and they never surrendered. One archive described them with a single line: "If you kill one, 10 more will rise. If you burn their world, they will crawl from the ashes. If you chain them, they will break the chains and make weapons from the pieces." The council chamber shook with unease as the words were read aloud. The legends were not lies. The Titan was proof. Worse still, some records told of a weapon, not a single ship, not a single fleet, but a program, a vision, humanity's vow to build warships beyond imagination, machines that could face entire Armadas alone, they called them Titans. The chamber erupted in cries. If this is one Titan, then there are more. Panic spread like fire. Leaders shouted over one another. Some demanded to hunt down the human homeworld. Others begged to hide the discovery. But one truth could not be buried. Humanity was not a shadow of the past. It was a storm, returning. Secret report arrived from the outer sectors. Trembling voices of scouts who claimed they had seen another shadow, another ship vast and silent, drifting near the edge of known space. The report ended with static. No answers. No survivors. High Speaker Vera rose again, her voice heavy. We are not facing a relic. We are facing a fleet. The chamber froze. Her words carried no doubt. Every leader knew she was right. Meanwhile, in the void, the Titan remained, silent, watching, its engines burning steady, its hull still marked with human letters, Titan of Earth. The Council tried once more to reach it, sending envoys, messages of peace, even offers of alliance, but the ship remained silent, unshaken, as if it waited, as if it judged, and still the records poured in, darker truths hidden for centuries. One empire revealed a forbidden history. Their ancestors had once warred with humans. They had won battles, but never the war, for every victory cost them blood. And in the end, humanity vanished before they could finish the fight. Some believed they had destroyed themselves, others believed they had hidden, preparing. Now the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had not perished. Humanity had been building in silence, in shadow, waiting until the Council grew fat and soft, until the stars were ready to tremble again. Panic spread across the great worlds. Riots broke out. People demanded protection, demanded answers, but their leaders had none. For how could they defend against an enemy who had already shown their fleets were nothing? Some species, however, did not despair. Some whispered hope, for the Council had ruled for ages with greed and iron, crushing the weak, silencing the small. But now there was a power that even the Council feared, and in dark corners of the galaxy, rebels raised their heads and whispered, "The humans will balance the scales." The chamber turned into chaos once more. Half the Council demanded war, half begged for peace. Unity shattered. Fear reigned. High Speaker Vera watched in silence, her mind heavy, her heart torn. She saw the truth clearer than most. The Titan was not only a warship, it was a message, a reminder that humanity had not been broken, that time had not erased them. They had returned not as servants, not as allies, but as equals, or perhaps as something greater. And as the chamber roared with voices, as fleets scrambled across the stars, another transmission arrived, short, simple, undeniable. It came from deep space, from the black beyond the Council's reach. The image was faint, but the shape was clear. Another Titan drifting with engines glowing like a star. The message ended. Silence followed, and the Council trembled. For now they knew the Titan of Earth was not alone. The chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so small, though it stretched wider than a city and rose higher than towers. The weight of fear pressed down on every delegate. The reports of a second Titan had spread across the stars. No one spoke of victory anymore. Only survival. High Speaker Vera stood in the center, her eyes locked on the great display. The black silhouette of the Titan of Earth loomed above them all. "We cannot remain in silence," she said, her voice steady but her claws trembling. "We must speak to them face to face." The chamber erupted at once. Some delegates shouted in anger, others in terror. "They will kill us if we approach," cried one. "No," hissed another. "They will kill us if we do not." And then, before the vote could even be taken, the great display flickered. Static filled the air, every light in the chamber dimmed, and a voice spoke. Calm, clear, heavy. "Council of Worlds," it said. "We accept your request." Gasps filled the chamber. None had expected a reply. None had expected such directness. The voice was human, but translated perfectly, its tone calm, but unyielding. The message continued. "Send your delegation to the dead system. You will meet not with an envoy, but with a captain of humanity. Come unarmed, come with honesty, or do not come at all." Silence followed, broken only by the sound of the delegates breathing too fast. The council was cornered. They had no choice. To refuse would invite suspicion. To resist would invite war. And so they agreed. A delegation was formed. The journey was tense. Their ships moved slowly, unarmed as commanded, surrounded on all sides by fleets that were forced to wait at the edge of the system. Only the delegate's vessel was allowed to pass into the Titan's shadow. The warship was vast up close, a wall of black steel and glowing lines like a floating continent in the void. The council ship drifted toward it, guided by signals it did not understand, until at last it docked. Inside, the air was thick, heavy, strange. The delegation stepped onto the warship's deck, and for the first time in recorded history, they looked upon a human. The captain stood tall, not armored in gold, not wrapped in jewels, but in simple dark uniform, his eyes sharp, his expression calm. He spoke in their tongue as if he had known it all his life. "You wished to meet, so here we are." The council delegation bowed slightly, though it shamed them to do so. Their leader, a serpent-like being named Azakar, spoke first. "We come in peace to seek understanding." The human captain's gaze did not soften. "Peace is earned, not declared," he said. "Your fleets attacked us, your leaders doubted us, and yet we did not destroy you." His voice was steady, without pride, without rage, only truth. The delegates shifted nervously. One of them tried to speak. We feared what we did not understand." But the human's eyes cut through the words. "And now? You understand?" The silence that followed was answer enough. The captain turned, walking slowly across the deck, the sound of his boots echoing, like thunder. "We have no desire for conquest, no hunger for your council's throne. But do not mistake that for weakness. If you come against us again, you will not find mercy twice." The words struck harder than weapons. The delegates bowed, lower not from respect but from survival. Still, the serpent leader Azakar found his courage. Why now? Why return after so many ages of silence? His voice trembled, but the question burned in every heart. The human captain stopped, his back still turned. "Because the galaxy has grown arrogant. Because the council believes itself unchallenged. Because you forgot what fear is." He turned, his eyes sharp. "And because it was time." The words hung in the air, heavy as stone. One delegate dared whisper, "How many of you are there?" The human gave no answer, only the faintest trace of a smile. And that silence was louder than truth. The meeting ended as swiftly as it began. The captain dismissed them with a wave of his hand. "Carry this message back to your council," he said. "Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not bow. But humanity will speak, if you are wise enough to listen." The delegation returned shaken, their report carried across the stars. The council chamber filled once more with chaos. Some declared hope, others declared doom, but all agreed on one thing. The galaxy had changed. For the first time in memory, the council had been forced to negotiate from fear, not strength. They had met a species that refused submission, a species that showed restraint not out of weakness but out of choice. And as the delegates finished their report, the great display flickered again, showing the black silhouette of the Titan, and behind it, faint shapes in the void, too many to count, engines burning like a field of stars. The chamber fell silent, hearts frozen, for now they knew the truth they had feared since the beginning. The Titan was never alone. The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of fear. The image on the great display showed more than one shadow now behind the Titan of Earth. Dozens of vast shapes drifted from the void, their engines glowing like scattered suns, their hulls sharp and endless. No one spoke at first. No one could. Then whispers began, weak, broken. "There are more, so many more." The whispers turned into shouts. Leaders clawed at the tables, wings spread in panic. Tails lashed against the ground. The council chamber became a storm of fear. High Speaker Vera raised her voice, desperate to hold control. "Order! Hold order!" But her voice cracked under the weight of the vision before them. Never had the Council seen such a fleet. Never had the Council faced such unity. Across the stars, the news spread faster than light. Markets fell, soldiers deserted, worlds rioted, everywhere the same words echoed. The humans have returned, and they are not alone. The fleet of Titans did not fire, did not move with haste. They only drifted closer, filling the void with their impossible size. Each one marked with old human letters: Titan of Mars, Titan of Luna, Titan of Europa, names of places forgotten by most of the galaxy, but sacred to humanity. The Council sent hails, wave after wave of messages. Some begged for peace, others threatened with war. But the Titans remained silent. Only their shadows answered. One general slammed his fist on the table. "We must strike, now before they gather more." But his words carried no strength. Everyone remembered the Drothul fleet, 1,000 ships broken without a single death. What hope was there against a dozen Titans or more? Another leader hissed, "Perhaps they will demand tribute, perhaps they seek power over the Council." But Vera shook her head slowly. "No, they do not want our throne. They want something else." Her words left the chamber trembling, for no one could name what that something else was. In the outer fleets, captains watched their screens in silence, their crews frozen as the Titans passed. Vast shadows drifting close enough to blot out stars. Every instinct screamed to run, to flee, but orders kept them still. Then, for the first time, the Titans spoke together. A single voice echoed across every channel, deep, steady, impossible to ignore. "Council of Worlds, you built your rule on fear, on silence, on chains. But fear belongs to you now." The chamber froze. The words struck like thunder. "You will not command us, you will not own us, we have returned and we will take our place." The fleets did not fire, but their presence was louder than war, their shadows heavier than death. Across the galaxy, small races hidden in corners whispered with hope. Perhaps now the Council will fall. Rebellion sparked. Oppressed worlds raised their voices. They believed the Titans had come for them, champions to break the chains of the mighty, but not all saw hope. Many saw only doom. Entire empires began secret preparations, building weapons, moving armies, knowing war would one day come. Back in the chamber, High Speaker Vera closed her eyes, her voice thin. "We cannot fight them. We cannot break them, we can only endure them." But another delegate spat, "Endure? Then what are we, rulers or slaves?" The answer came not from her but from the void, as the Titans moved in unison, their engines glowing brighter, their hulls shining with ancient symbols. They turned slowly, deliberately, facing the stars beyond Council space. The message was clear: they had not come to conquer. Not yet. They had come to declare, to remind the galaxy that humanity was alive, and that their silence had ended. Yet the fear lingered, because no one knew when the silence would end again or what would come after. The Council chamber shook with voices, chaos without end, but above it all the truth burned in every heart. The age of the Council had cracked, and the age of humanity had begun. And in the darkness beyond, more shadows stirred. The fleet of Titans hung in the void like a wall of black suns. Their engines burned steady, their shadows covered whole sectors of stars. The Council fleets watched from a distance, frozen, every captain knowing one thing: a single order from the humans could erase them all. In the chamber of the Galactic Council, silence ruled not by command but by terror. The delegates sat stiff, wings folded, claws still, eyes wide. No one dared speak until High Speaker Vera rose, her voice a whisper. "This is the choice, not theirs but ours. Do we resist, or do we endure?" The chamber erupted at once, pride against fear. Some shouted for war, their voices sharp with rage. "Better to burn than bow," one cried. Others screamed for peace, trembling. "Better to live than die." Chaos filled the chamber. But the truth pressed down on them all. The choice was already made. For the Titans spoke again, their voices joined as one. Deep, steady, calm. "We do not seek your throne. We do not seek your chains. We seek only our place among the stars. Respect it or lose everything." The message was simple, but its weight was greater than armies. The Council could not twist it, could not argue. Against it, the humans had returned, and they demanded only one thing: respect. And yet respect was harder to give than blood, for the Council had ruled for ages. They had crushed rivals, silenced rebels, burned worlds that defied them. How could they now bow their heads to a race thought lost, a race they once mocked as primitive? Still, the fleets at the edge of the system told the truth. No one dared fire, no one dared move. They all remembered the Drothul fleet, how it was broken without blood. They all remembered the mercy of the Titan of Earth, mercy sharper than any blade. Whispers spread through the chamber. If we resist, we fall. If we accept, we survive. Fear turned into calculation, calculation into surrender. High Speaker Vera finally raised her voice above the storm. We must accept them, she said, not as rulers, not as masters, but as equals. The words tasted bitter, but no one challenged her, for in their hearts they knew humanity had already forced their answer. The Council sent a message, short, careful, humble. We recognize humanity. We recognize your right to stand. The words were carried across the void, to the Titans, to the galaxies beyond. The Titans did not cheer, did not threaten. They only turned slowly, their engines glowing brighter. One by one they shifted formation, facing the deeper stars, the unclaimed dark beyond Council reach, and together they moved, drifting away like mountains carried by a silent tide. The fleets of the Council did not follow. They only watched, held in awe and fear. No one breathed until the last engine light faded into the black. But even as the Titans left, their shadow remained. Not on screens, not in space, but in every heart across the galaxy. Worlds whispered of hope. Rebels rose with courage. The weak began to dream again. If the Council can fear, then the Council can fall. Merchants, farmers, soldiers, all spoke of humans with reverence. Yet empires whispered too, but not with hope, with hate. Their generals sharpened weapons in secret. Their leaders swore revenge. They plotted in shadows, vowing that one day war would return. In the chamber, Vera stood alone, her eyes heavy. She spoke softly to no one. We have not seen the end of them, only the beginning. And her words carried like a prophecy, for the Titans had left a promise behind, not in words, not in threats, but in their silence, a silence that told the galaxy humanity would return again, when the stars themselves trembled. And so the galaxy waited, caught between fear and hope, between pride and surrender, and above it all one truth rose like dawn. The age of the Council was ending, and the age of humanity had begun.